Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/AITA. In today's episode, AITA for getting upset and telling my dad his girlfriend didn't buy me a Starbucks drink? AITA for purposely making rules that I know she wouldn't stick to if my sister wanted to move back in? AITA for not letting my husband take our toddler to a remote island cabin? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. AITA for getting upset and telling my dad his girlfriend didn't buy me a Starbucks drink? I, 17F, have been living with my dad, 45M, his girlfriend of 2 years, 33F, and her daughter, 13F, for a couple of months now while my mom, 40F, is visiting my sick grandfather in Sweden. I've only ever stayed at my dad's on weekends, so it's been hard getting used to living with his GF and her kid full-time. The kid is super whinny and pretty spoiled because GF dotes on her, so I usually just stay in my room. Today, GF was taking her daughter on a special outing because she passed a math test, and my dad suggested I go with them for a girls' day out. I wanted to say no, but I knew that he wanted me to get to know his GF and GF's daughter better, so I agreed. He gave GF $300 to spend during the outing. We spent the day going in and out of stores GF's daughter liked in the mall complex. GF ended up buying her a shit ton of clothes, makeup, and other stuff I don't remember. On our way back home, GF stopped at the Starbucks cause daughter wanted a drink and some cake pops. She ordered a drink for her and her daughter and 2 cake pops. I asked her if I could get something and she said she ran out of money and she'd get me something next time. When they got their order, I asked if I could have one of the cake pops and GF said that it was her daughter's treat for hard work and it would be wrong for me to take one since I didn't do anything that deserved being rewarded. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty upset. When we got back home, my dad saw their drinks and asked where mine was. I told him that I wasn't allowed to get one cause I don't deserve it. His GF got upset and said I was twisting her words, and the daughter just said I was being greedy and was jealous of her. I know I'm not entitled to a drink or a cake pop, but I also don't think it's wrong to be a little annoyed. AITA? Oh sweetie, and I want you to know that you absolutely were entitled to a drink and a cake pop or another treat of your choosing. Your dad gave her $300 that was meant to be spent on all 3 of you for the day out. Sure, her daughter may have earned something special for her hard work at school, but from the sound of it he intended for you all to get treated a bit, and it's disgusting that she would go to a coffee shop and get things for herself and her daughter and not for you. As someone older than your dad, even, I can tell you that his GF's behavior was super not okay, and not the way she should be treating her partner's kid. None of my friends would ever treat their stepkids or partner's kids that way in a million years. I'm so sorry that happened to you, and I'm really glad you told your dad. She deserves to get yelled at. You are definitely NTA. GF was though. But, spill the tea. What was your dad's reaction to GF's lame excuses? This happened 30 minutes ago, and before he said anything I just went up to my room. I'm hearing yelling from downstairs though. I love my dad a lot and he has always looked out for me, so I don't think he wouldn't believe me. NTA. It was your dad's money, and obviously intended to facilitate the girls' day for the 3 of you. They sound like awful people. That's what I thought too at the start, but then when we got to the mall, GF said it was daughter's special reward day. NTA on telling your dad about the drinks. Just to check, did the GF get you anything on the trip, or spend everything on her own daughter? That would be good for your dad to know how you are treated. I get that the 13-year-old passed a math test, but she didn't solve Fermat's last theorem. It isn't such a stretch to include you on this trip. No, everything was for her daughter. I understand wanting to reward her because she's been really struggling in math, but yeah, it's not really less of a reward if someone else gets a cake pop, right? I have to point out that your dad got his wish. You got to know his GF and her daughter a whole lot better. If they wanted you to have good stories about them, they ought to have treated you with kindness. I hope your dad is paying attention to the sort of people he's living with. NTA. I would have added that she didn't spend any of the money on you. Next time ask dad for your own cash. Explain you didn't get anything and this time you would like to buy something. Even if it's just a Starbucks. NTA. You just told your dad what his girlfriend told you. AITA for purposely making rules that I know she wouldn't stick to if my sister wanted to move back in. I, 23F, have two older sisters, Chloe, 29F, and Demi, 31F. Demi is married and has a son who is 1 and she recently found out she's pregnant with her second child. Chloe is autistic. She used to live with me, but I had enough after I was doing everything and all she did was watch movies on her tablet for 12 hours a day, so I kicked Chloe out. Demi had a spare room, so Chloe moved in. The rules are as follows. 1. No eating in your bedroom. 2. Chloe must keep 1 hour aside every day just to clean her bedroom. It doesn't matter if it's not a full hour, just to pick everything up from the floor. I don't want any books, clothes, or rubbish on the floor. She has a bookshelf, she has a wardrobe, she has a laundry basket and storage. That's what they're used for. 3. Must make her bed every morning. 4. The main important one, Chloe must have a job with minimum hours of 16 per week and must have kept that job for at least 3 months. When Demi asked about Chloe moving in due to her having a second baby, I set these rules. Demi called me a prick because she knows that I know Chloe won't stick to them. The thing is, our parents are deceased and Chloe is on a waiting list for assisted living, but because services are stretched she has a 5-year waiting list. AITA for purposely producing rules that Chloe has to follow if she wants to live with me again, knowing she won't follow a single one. If your sister were capable of holding down a job, she probably wouldn't qualify for assisted living. Succeeding might actually invalidate her from being able to receive benefits. That one is a jerk move. The rest of these are things she can and should work towards as goals, not expectations. That's the nature of disability. You should also contact your local social services and see if her impending homelessness opens any resources for her. NTA, but I think you and Demi need to be honest, neither of you want to live with Chloe anymore. I imagine that Chloe did not change while living with Demi and her family. The second pregnancy gives her a valid reason to move Chloe out. Invite Demi to coffee. Suggest that you both reach out to social services to report that Chloe can no longer count on living with family. Her case needs to be fast-tracked to assisted living, or a social worker needs to help her find affordable housing within the next 6 months. Jumping on this to second it, and also recommend looking for local nonprofits that serve adults with intellectual disabilities. There are 2 or 3 in my area, and they help with group housing, job training, and placement assistance, and more. Even if social services is backed up, there may be other help in OP's area. NTA. Clean your own room is not too big an ask. Eating in the kitchen or dining room is not associated with her autism. These are behaviors she would have to develop in assisted living. Making your bed too. For whatever reason, little has been asked of your sister. If she is unable to do even these tasks, she needs more care than the average person is capable of providing. I would strike the work thing and change the rule to participate in some activities outside the house. ESH, except for Chloe. You and your sister are just playing hot potato with the responsibility for your autistic sister. You're a bit more of an honestly, for being passive-aggressive and making a fake list of rules instead of just owning up to the fact that you don't want her around. Hope that Chloe ends up finding a place that actually cares about her well-being, since her sisters clearly don't. YTA, if she could work that routinely at a normal job, she'd probably wouldn't qualify for assisted living. Keeping the room clean is well and fine. But if she could work, she wouldn't be on the list. It's hard to get on that list. AITA for not letting my husband take our toddler to a remote island cabin? My husband, 41M, wants to take our toddler son, 2.5M, to his remote Canadian cottage without me. This cottage is in another country, it's in Canada, we are from the US, so on top of it being a 4.5-hour flight away, it requires a 3-hour drive and then a 30-plus minute ferry ride, as the cottage is located on an island that is only accessible by boat. Last time we stayed at the cottage, there was no hot shower water for the entire 5 days. Before that, I was exposed to bats in the sleeping room and had to drive to New York to get vaccinated for rabies. Before that trip, we lost power and had no hot water and I had food poisoning. The water is unfiltered from the lake. It's always something going wrong and I'm just so sick of it. I told him I'd stay for 2 to 3 nights next year, but I don't want to stay 5 nights again. It's also very difficult with a toddler who never sleeps through the night. This cottage means a lot to my husband. He has fond memories of being there with his family and friends when growing up, but it has always been a source of intense anxiety and discomfort for me. From the bugs, to the bats, to the lack of basic amenities, we often lose power or hot water. I just always get stressed and dread being there. Every single year I dread it. My husband knows this and has been working on fixing up the cottage, but it's just very uncomfortable for me and he knows this. I have put up with it for years, but I'm tired and want to limit how long I will stay there in the future. Now he is threatening to take our 2.5-year-old son there for a week plus without me, which I find unacceptable. I have never threatened to take our son anywhere without his consent, much less to another country. Our son is afraid of flies, screams and cries whenever they get near, and doesn't sleep through the night. I don't think he will enjoy this trip that he's too young to consent to, especially with his mom gone. AITA for telling my husband that I won't allow him to take my son to a different country without my consent? NTA. This isn't about different likes and dislikes, this is about safety issues. Bats that bite you in the night requiring that you drive to New York for rabies shots, yikes. Untreated water that causes food poisoning. This is not a safe place for a 2.5-year-old. Period. If your husband wants to make this the family getaway every year, then he needs to get off his butt and put some energy into fixing the place up first. So he needs to fix the water situation, and if the water that comes into the house can't be made safe, then he needs to ensure there is enough bottled water for everyone to use. He needs to get the cabin completely sealed up so that no bats can get in. If he says that's impossible, then he can go there on his own and be a wild grizzly mountain man, but it's not a safe place for wife and toddler. Sorry, dude. WTF? I would make a list of what needs fixing at the cottage, and ask him to make the repairs or pay someone to make the repairs, and once the cabin is safe for human habitation, then you and your son will go spend time there, not before. NTA. It's a remote island cabin. If something goes wrong, help is not getting there in time. And OP elsewhere in the comments posts that her husband has ignored issues with their son multiple times and those issues turned out to be legit after a visit to the doc's office, therefore, she doesn't fully trust his judgment in situations where something might be going wrong with a kid. I mean, in a general sense it is assholish to forbid a spouse from doing something. But in this case it's justified, and perhaps is even her duty as a parent. Besides, kids don't really start to form memories that last until sometime after 3. NTA. WTF is up with your husband threatening to abscond with your child to a remote and potentially dangerous cabin outside of the country? That's like instant divorce words. It's literally illegal for your husband to take your son out of the country without your consent. Maybe let him know that. Anyone that wants to argue the cabin isn't potentially dangerous, spare me. If anything goes wrong, there's no way they're getting any level of medical attention in less than an hour, and the cabin has bats and unclean water. Not a suitable or safe place for a toddler. NTA. The multiple incidences of guests at this cottage needing rabies shots due to contact with bats, the unfiltered water, and the remote location make this appropriate for adults and older kids only. A toddler can't tell an adult if a bat landed on him or accurately describe symptoms of illness. These are legitimate safety concerns. One day your son and husband can spend father-son time in the batty buggy luxury-free north, but not yet. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.